Earth is slowly warming. For the past 100 years, scientists have noticed our Earth's temperature slowly increasing. This warming effect, or global warming, impacts our planet tremendously. Because of this warming effect, our planet's polar ice caps are disappearing. Our Earth's polar ice caps have been melting at alarming rates due to global warming. Scientists project that by 2100, the Arctic could lose all of its ice. Global warming has many different causes. Some of these effects are by man-made causes, and some of these are by anthropogenic causes. Naturally, our Earth releases methane gas from Arctic tundra and wetlands. Methane is a greenhouse gas that traps heat in the Earth's atmosphere. Humans, however, have a very different effect on global warming. One major cause of global warming is from pollution. People on Earth excessively burn fossil fuels and therefore create smog. Because of excessive pollution, it causes the release of even more methane gas, which in turn slowly heats up our planet. Due to our actions, we have acid rain, extreme weather fluctuations, and melting polar ice caps. One huge issue that global warming affects is the melting of our polar ice caps. Because of the rise in temperature from methane gas, our polar ice caps are disappearing. This huge disappearance has contributed to an 11.1 millimeter rise in sea levels globally since 1992. The scientific term for our melting ice caps is the glacial pace, which is the speed of advancing or retreating ice sheets. Typically, scientists measure the glacial pace in inches per day. However, because of global warming, now scientists are measuring it in feet. The Arctic or North Pole has been the most affected by global warming. As of 2012, the Arctic sea ice has shrunk to the smallest it's ever been, 1.32 million square miles, with the area of ice lost being 41 times the size of Ireland. The Arctic used to be dominated by ice that stayed around all year, or multi-layer ice. Now the Arctic has become more of seasonal ice coverage because there are large areas that are likely to melt out. One of the biggest losses on the Arctic was the Ward Hunt Ice Shelf. The Ward Hunt Ice Shelf has been around for 3,000 years before it started cracking in 2000. Within 2 years, it had split all the way through and is now breaking into pieces. The Arctic region's ice mass is decreasing at a rate of 9% each decade, and it is projected by the end of the century there will be none left. Another area that has been very affected by the melt is Greenland. In 2012, Greenland had its warmest summer in 170 years. Because of this high heat, the 40 largest glaciers in Greenland lost twice that of the previous decade. Scientists have concluded that Greenland and 2 of the 3 ice sheets that cover Antarctica have lost an estimated 237 billion metric tons, give or take a few billion, in the last 19 years. While Antarctica is losing mass, it is not losing mass nearly as fast as the Arctic or Greenland. Kashmir is also the last region of the world that has fast glacial melt and has been defined as the world's third pole. Kashmir's glaciers may be receding as much as half a meter annually in this Kashmir Himalayan region. The Kashmir region accounts for 40% of the world's water supply, coming from either snow or glaciers. This has been harder for Kashmir as their total snowfall keeps decreasing. Many of the large glacial masses are shrinking in size. However, this is not the case for Antarctica. This is due to the fact that Antarctica ice mass is located on the South Pole. Because of global warming, researchers believe that the climate change has created a wind wall. The wind wall, or the westerly winds, keep the cold around the South Pole, while the rest of the planet gradually warms up, causing Greenland and the Arctic ice sheets to quickly melt. There's also a hole in the ozone, which has a very big effect as well. Because of this hole, it too promotes the westerly winds, which in turn keeps the temperature lower. Because of the large amounts of glacial loss in the Arctic, Greenland, and Kashmir, it is important that we take global warming seriously. The melting of our polar ice caps does affect our ecosystem, and it does have consequences. If our polar ice caps completely disappear, one effect is that the climate of North America and Europe would get increasingly colder. Another effect is that by 2100, it is projected that global sea levels will rise 3 feet if the Arctic region disappears. If this were to happen, water would overtake land that we live on. Scientists project that the water would overtake 22,400 square miles of land along the Atlantic and Gulf coasts of the United States. It has also been theorized that because of the global sea level increase in our water, it causes bigger hurricanes as well. That was why Hurricane Sandy was such a disaster and had such record high waters. If the global sea levels were to rise 3 feet higher, imagine a hurricane. It could wipe out a huge populace of people. Our ecosystem is already being affected by global warming. For the 4 million people that live north of the Arctic Circle, their lives are being changed tremendously. It threatens homes, lives, and cultures. Coastal erosion is already becoming a huge problem in Alaska as the government has had to locate many Inuit villages. Each relocation project has costed the government $100 million. Our Earth's wildlife is also the last thing that has been affected. In Canada, there have been reports that the polar bears look sickly because there are no seals for them to feed on. In Alaska, whale hunters working in usually open seas have seen walruses trying to climb onto their boats, mistaking them for ice floes. Fox, marten, and other small animals have thinned down, and fish meat has gotten mushy because the water is too warm. The ecosystem is changing and is having a huge effect on the animals. Global warming has made a huge impact on our planet. Our world is getting increasingly warmer because of the release of methane into the atmosphere. Because of global warming, the Arctic, Greenland, and the Kashmir region have lost increasingly amounts of polar ice masses due to global warming, and as a result, it has really changed our ecosystem.